Good afternoon, and thank you very much for joining me today. It's Allan Labucan here. I'm the founder of the Allan Reports, and got a new show for you. I'm calling it episode 2 from my shows down here in Mexico, where I live now. I moved here to Mexico in early February to be closer to the projects that I run with companies Alset Minerals and Advanced Gold, where I'm the CEO and president of both those companies. And I wanted to be closer to the projects down here. I thought I could get a lot more work done. It's worked out really good. So far, Alset Minerals, in the 10 months or so that I've run the company, has gone from having some good projects to without permits to drill, and without the money to drill, and we got the permits done, and then we got drilling done. We've recently had our first set of lab results out. We have a whole bunch more lab results with lithium and potassium and other fertilizer minerals that are involved, salars, that we have these salt lakes here in central Mexico. Because it takes quite a bit of testing to understand these. You need to understand the chemical composition. You have to understand the leachability of the material. You have to understand evaporation rates, all this different stuff. And so we're doing some of those key more of a shell, and I've been looking around pretty hard down here in Mexico. This is the #1 camp in the world, if you will, for silver. So I'm looking around, and I can foresee Advance getting involved in precious metals, which it had been before I got involved with the company. Some of the other companies that I wanted to talk about before getting started here today are my sponsors, Sirius. Sirius is drilling right now in Quebec. Excellent project near Allan. Suggest you take a look at them. Tudor Gold up there is involved with gold in the Golden Triangle of British Columbia, where things are getting kind of exciting. And they've got big projects up there, and are founded by Walter Storm, who also founded Osisko. And so they're a very good company. Wolfden right now is drilling a zinc project that they have back east that looks pretty interesting, and I'd say keep an eye on them. And Premier Gold is a company that's quickly growing into a mid-tier gold producer that is very well managed, has the ability to sort of move into that middle tier category, where there's a lot of projects not big enough for the majors, but certainly company makers for the aggressive smaller producers. And I really like where Premier Gold's going with its projects. All right, so now we're going to get on to today's show, and what I wanted to talk about today is we'll go back to last show. It had been a long time since I had done a show, and what I talked about in that one was I was talking about why it's a good time to be a gold bull and a US dollar bear. That was a couple weeks ago. Gold was about $25, probably $30 cheaper than it is now. It's now gone through a crucial move beyond 1,300. I'm really excited to see that. Later in the day, we got another $10 or $12 pop, because word went out that the hard to call him a leader in North Korea, but the guy in charge of things, I guess, was setting off bombs or shooting missiles over Japan that got everybody a little bit worried. Ultimately, I think this is more to keep the guy in the news, sort of how the U.S. is run now, with Trump always wanting to be in the news as well. But this one's over some missile test, I guess. We'll probably get that. The market will probably give that back pretty quickly. Again, it's more talk than it is from them. by a guy who's a complete narcissist who wants everybody to pay attention to what he's doing. I'm talking about North Korea right now, not the United States. Ultimately, I don't think that the recent movement in the price of gold has anything really to do with North Korea. I think it's more to do with weakness in the U.S. dollar and a stronger story on the supply and demand story for gold. That those two things combined are what's driving it forward and will continue to drive it forward. Last time I was on, I showed you just how weak the U.S. dollar is. Yeah, all it's done is get more, continue to get weak. And I showed you the reasons why I thought the price of gold would go up, and it has. And I don't think that this is any mysterious sort of or number to pay much attention to. 1,300 traders like to pay attention to it, but in reality, it's just a number. But it has a way of creating some fluctuation. We kind of fluctuated getting into the 13. Now it's busted through, creating higher highs and higher lows. Just go look at it again. It's the opposite with the U.S. dollar. Lower highs, lower lows for the U.S. dollar. That's going to continue. I think the bull market in gold's going to continue. You want to be looking at good gold stories, because there's a couple other things I wanted to talk about. I think that is equally as important today is seasonality. We're in the last week before Labor Day, which is always a time when you'll see less volume in the market and some real opportunities. It reminds me a lot of the last couple of weeks of December, when you can find a lot of bargains. Over the years, I've done pretty good making those end-of-year shows based on what I had seen the 2 weeks prior to the end of the year. And I think we're there now again. We've got a very strong bull market for gold developing. And that will, I believe what we're seeing here is the next move is 1,300 to 1,400 before the end of the year, which is very bullish for the gold stocks, which really haven't to a large degree started to participate. We've had some good picks that have participated, but by and large, a lot of gold stocks really aren't now. Some of those big gold stocks are down because they should be. I wouldn't really want to own some of those. I don't think they're tremendously well run. But let's talk about some specific stocks now. I'm going to talk about some big story names that have sort of been catching people's attention for the last little while. One of the places that I'm going on right now that I spend a fair amount of time on is at CEO.ca. And at CEO.ca, they've been doing a great job to add a lot of features. One of the features that I really like is what they call the watch lists. Now you can actually share these watch lists as well, but why I like these watch lists, it makes it real easy for me to see companies, their names. I put them on my portfolio. One of the companies that's been had some really big news recently and has seen appreciation in their stock, but I think that it's got a lot more to go, is a company called Sabina Gold and Silver. Sabina trades on the Toronto Exchange with the symbol SBB. I picked them back in November. Back in November, the stock was trading at about $1. I want to say around $1.35 when I picked them. Today it closed at $2.38. It's done very well, and why it's done well is they got a positive ruling by the Nunavut Impact Review Board, that has given them the green light to move ahead with their project. They had about a year prior had got a negative ruling by that same board. They went back and they clarified certain things, and now they can move ahead with the project. I don't think you're going to hear the name Sabina Gold and Silver Corp being around for very long. They have, the words, world class gets kicked around a lot in the mining business. A lot of times it's not true. In their case, they have an extremely exciting project that I would refer to as world-class. What makes it world-class is, to me, is it's multi-million ounces, and about 80% of that deposit is in the open pit, that you can open pit it. It's high grade and open pittable, which makes it extremely exciting. And if you can open pit 4 or 5 grams of money in the gold mining business, which is what they have, 80% of their resource is in that open pit category, and they're wide open for exploration potential. This is one that I think is going to get taken over now that the uncertainty about the permits is over with. I think it's not long before, maybe within a year, that they get bought out for significantly higher valuation than what they are right now. As I said, I'm a big fan of SBB. I bought them. I had picked them in the past when they were trading around 65 cents a few times. Also had a sell on them, and now I got back in at about the $1.35 range. And as I said, I think that they're going to be a takeover simply because of the economics of this gold project that they have up in Nunavut. Next company I wanted to talk about is a company called GT Gold Corp. GT Gold Corp has found what looks like a great new discovery. It definitely is a great new discovery. Back when they were about, let's say, early August, late July, company was trading around 40 cents. They had caught my attention a little bit because they were talking about a large geochemical anomaly that had some very high grades in it. Usually that's not what gets me excited. I want to see it in a drill hole. They put it in, they got it in a drill hole, and the stock just went vertical. It's now trading at $1.76. It's been as high as $1.90. They have hit what looks like a great new discovery, high-grade drill holes spread out over a fairly decent area that's in a large geochemical anomaly. This is a really exciting project. I'm not one to chase stocks, so I would be advising you to look for selling opportunities. I think they're going to have more drill holes out before the end of the year, so before the end of the season, so it's very probable that they can run up even higher. I would look for some selling opportunities after that, when people take some profits over the winter. You can't drill in the winter time in the Golden Triangle unless you're underground. These guys aren't underground. So, you know, that's another name. GTT is their symbol. That's another name you want to keep an eye on, do your homework on. Another one that has caught a lot of attention lately is a company called Novo Resources. NVO is their stock symbol, and they trade on the venture exchange as well. What's caught the market's imagination, they were trading at 40 cents back in early July, now closed at $4.63 today. And and they've been as high as about $5.50. And that's without drill holes. So here's what has sort of caused the market's excitement. They've gone and it sounds like they have the potential for another Witwatersrand kind of discovery, which is the most prolific discovery in the world. It's in South Africa. The story goes that the craton where Witwatersrand is located, at one time this craton in Australia was attached to that, and so you have the same kind of age of rocks as where the Witwatersrand discovery was made and the mine is. And you have the same situation over here in Australia. Now, some said that it also, part of the romance is that people were out using their metal detectors and found nuggets of gold. So this has just created an extreme amount of excitement on the stock. They have 122 million shares out. They're already valued at over $500 million, and they haven't even got into drilling this thing yet. If it proves to be that, you know, it'll go 10 times where it is now. Before that happens, though, I think you want to maybe look for some selling opportunities. It has gone virtually parabolic in the last month and a half. And there's a whole lot of financing that was done at much cheaper prices. That stock is going to come free trading. I think that free trading event is going to cause some selling pressure. I think that a better entry point is probably around $3, but you know, or a little less than that before they really start getting some drill results. But you know, like I said, this could potentially be an explosive discovery that, you know, rewrites history, if you will. This could be the most important gold discovery. Now, even when I'm saying that kind of things, it makes me naturally skeptical. But there's a lot of people believing in that story right now, so keep an eye on that. NVO is their stock symbol. They trade on the Venture Exchange. There's a couple drill stories out there that I wanted to talk about. One is Dolly Varden. DV is their stock symbol. Dolly Varden has recently had some exceptional silver results from their drilling that sort of brought them, they were trading down to around 45 cents at the beginning of July. Now they're trading at 70 cents. That enthusiasm was off of recent drill results. This isn't their first isolated event with these kind of drill results. This company has been doing a very good job. They're in the Golden Triangle. They got a lot of good stuff to drill going forward. You know, again, this is another one in the Golden Triangle where you can't drill all year round. So I'm not a chaser of stocks, but I think that these are ones that you definitely want them on your radar screen, and you want to be looking for opportunities where there's weakness. If you see weakness ahead of drill results, that's your chance for some, you know, exceptional moves. Dolly Varden is another good one that I'm keeping an eye on. One that just had some news out today, Fjordland is a company that John Kaiser and I had on our talked about on our zombie stock show. I just sent an email to John the other day. I said, "Hey John, you know, some of the companies from that zombie show, our old zombie shows, sure have done well." I remembered Fjordland FEX because they were getting into the play. There was a possibility that they would be getting into the play around the company that was trying to get into diamonds, but they've been into uranium for most of their life. I think for some reason today that name of that company is escaping me. I'm sure some of you will remember, but Fjordland, FEX is their stock symbol. What happened today was the stock popped big time because they got a commitment from Robert Friedland's company, or one of his private companies, that the private company is going to start funding Fjordland's work on their South Voisey's Bay discovery. Now, Robert Friedland became extremely rich because of the Voisey's Bay. Now, Fjordland has a project that he wants to finance now. The stock is up 12.5 cents today on, that's 89% move on $9.5 million. The news was that they've signed a term sheet with Robert Friedland's private company called High Power Exploration. Fjordland only has 20 million shares out, and if they made any kind of discovery that's anything even a sniff of a South Voisey's Bay type discovery, this is the kind of stock that could go just ballistic, like Diamond Fields did when the original Voisey's Bay was discovered. FEX is another one you want to keep an eye on now that Robert's putting a bunch of money into it. some of the other companies that KG is stock symbols KG. Sorry, the name of the company is Klondike Gold. They trade on the venture exchange. This one's looking for the source of the Klondike gold rush, if you will. It's had a fair bit of promotion behind it, but you know, if they made that kind of discovery, it could get very exciting. The final couple companies I wanted to talk about is, one is Serengeti. SIR is their stock symbol. They're drilling for a what you would call a lookalike of the Oyo Tolgoi discovery out in Mongolia. And if this geophysical target is that, you know, kitty bar the door on the performance. SIR is their stock symbol. You want to keep an eye on them. And so on that one, I think I'm going to call it a day for today on today's show. I wanted to talk about some of the stocks that I'm keeping an eye on, some of the big stories that have come about lately. I also wanted to talk a bit about seasonality because I think you got some great opportunities for bargains right now over the next couple of weeks. As we get into the first week in September, I think things are going to start to get more aggressive in the news flow and some of the performance of these juniors on the back of the performance of gold. Silver's doing well. Other commodities will do well as the US dollar gets under pressure. So it's time to do your homework. I hope you've had a great summer so far. I keep working summer, winter, fall. It's pretty much summer every day down here in Mexico for this Canadian kid. But on that note, I'm going to close it. Stay tuned. I've got some more shows coming up soon. Talking to John Kaiser about getting together for some shows in the week after Labor Day. On that note, you have a great day, and we will talk to you soon.